Hey everybody, welcome back to the West Seattle Bowl Pro Shop channel. My name is Bill and I'm here today to test out the new Sublime by 900 Global. As always, like and subscribe, show these guys some love, and stay notified to all future content. All right, now I have not thrown this ball yet, but I'm excited about it for a couple of reasons. One, there's some really cool new technology in here. There's a new hybrid cover stock, as well as a new core, which should give you early rolling and a little bit better handling. If you have any questions about the specs, obviously reach out to the team in the Pro Shop. They can explain all of it. The other reason I'm excited for this is just how it's gonna fit in my bag. I have a nice aggressive ball for heavy oil in my Absolute, and I have a nice medium oil ball in my High Road. This ball should fit nicely between these two, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But with that, let's go ahead and throw a couple shots. I warmed up with my High Road, which is my medium hooking ball, so I'm gonna base my first shot off of that. This should be a little bit more aggressive, and because it's out of a box, I'm gonna move 2 with my arrow and 4 with my feet. So let's see what this does right out of the box. Whew. That ball comes back nicely. It rolls just the way that I was expecting it to. That thing went down nice to the lane, but it doesn't snap back, it rolls back. So a lot of the stuff that they had talked about with this ball being controllable, I think could be pretty good. Let me try that again. I'm gonna line up again at the exact same spot, throw over about the 11 or 12 board. Oh, I pulled that one. But even in your bad shots, you can still learn something. So that one rode the oil in the middle a little bit more, and it didn't break nearly as much as the first one did. So what that tells me is that this ball has a little bit of wiggle room. Obviously not as much as I pulled it on that shot, but let's try this one more time. There we go, that was a lot better. Again, that thing hits really, really well. So how this thing, I think, can fit into my bag is, being a house bowler here at West Seattle, I bowl a couple leagues a week, a few tournaments a year. It's nice to have a ball that can transition between, as the lanes break down. And so this one being maybe just 2 or 3 boards stronger than my High Road means that if I'm bowling league and by game 2 or 3, I notice the lanes are subtly wearing down, I can switch between balls without having to fundamentally change my shot, which is really, really nice to have. So let's try this one more time. All right, now that one I actually threw just about a board or 2 further right than I wanted to. So with the opposite of the pulled shot earlier, that one actually went just a little bit right, but it came back. So what that tells me is that this ball should have a pretty nice margin of error if I'm not super accurate one night. So that's definitely a good start for this thing. And as you saw, it has pretty good pin action when it hits. So let me try this one more time. There we go. All right, so this is also one where, during league and you're bowling a couple games, usually it is a move to a slightly weaker ball as the lanes break down. The other thing that's nice about this is if you're bowling a tournament and you happen to bowl 6 or 8 games in a day and you start to get tired, this would allow you to also have a transitional ball to move to something slightly stronger. So I think it will fit really nicely. I did warm up with both the High Road and the Absolute, and it does seem like it's slightly weaker than the Absolute, which is exactly what I was hoping for. All right, let's try this again. All right, so once again, I pulled that one just a little bit, but if you notice, that kind of held the oil, which is a good sign. It gives you a little bit of a buffer there. So one unique thing about how I bowl is I actually don't use a spare ball. I just take whatever strike ball I'm using and throw it straight at the 10 pin. So whenever I have a new ball out of the box, I always want to shoot a couple corner pins. So let's see how this one lines up. There we go. See, you can throw straight at the 10 pin. It doesn't matter how aggressive the ball is, it's really how many revs you put on it. And for anybody curious, like I am not a cranker. I think my ball speed's about 15 to 16 usually, so not overly fast, but yeah, this ball works nice. So initial thoughts on this are really positive. Normally, if you bowl at West Seattle Bowl, if you're like me, I don't like throwing really aggressive equipment. I usually have kind of my more middle of the road stuff. I could actually see this being the starter ball that I use, and then as the lanes break down, move to something slightly weaker like a high road. These two seem like they would complement each other really, really well. All right, I'm gonna try playing around in the lane. So those first couple shots I was throwing over about 11 or 12. I'm gonna move a little bit more inside and just see what this thing does. So I'm gonna try throwing over 15. All right, got a light hit there, probably moved my feet just a little bit too much, but I think that if you had a slightly drier lanes, or if you're a person who throws across the middle more, this ball would still work pretty well. My comfort zone is usually between, on something super oily, throwing up about 7 or 8, all the way into about 15. Anything more than that is a little bit out of my comfort zone. This ball is probably not one that I would throw like up 7 or 8. This is a little bit more of a deeper in ball, but all right, let's try that one more time. Yeah, not quite the entry angle I had, so I think my original line is probably what I would use with this, but this ball does have a little bit of versatility to it, which I think is pretty nice. All right, just for a comparison, that initial shot that I was doing over 11 and 12, I'm gonna throw my high road over the exact same one, and I would expect that I missed the head pin, but this is important because if I'm switching balls in the middle of a game and I haven't had a chance to warm up with the other one, I need to know how many boards difference they are, so that way if I switch balls, I can have a pretty good expectation of what it does and I don't have to spend a couple frames figuring it out. So this will help me determine really what's the differential between these two balls. All right, nice light hit. That's exactly what I would expect. So from my from where I'm standing, I would guess that there's probably about a 3 to 4 board differential, which is just perfect. That is what I would expect. So when lanes break down during league, I could easily transition between these two because they're different in strength, but they're not that different, which means that I'm not making any major adjustments. So I tried shooting the further inside, throwing over 15. I don't expect this ball to perform well for this shot, but I am gonna just play around with it and throw one further to the outside. We'll see how this reacts when it really hits the lighter oil on the edge of the lanes. Yeah, that one felt like it started hooking a little bit earlier when it was on the outside. Don't think that that's a line that I'm gonna play. I think on certain lane conditions that might actually work, but probably not the house shot. This is one where probably for me playing over about 11 or 12 and having it go out before it comes back seems like the right shape for this ball. Awesome, well, so that is kind of how I warm up with a new ball. I start with a line that I think is gonna work, and then I play a little bit in, a little bit out, and just kind of get a feel of the ball, and honestly learn more from the bad shots than the ones that work. But I'm just curious, how does everybody else test out a new ball? What's your thoughts? Post in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and what's your routine when trying out a new ball. All right, I'm gonna throw a couple more with this. That one felt pretty good. That I think for me on this house shot, this ball will probably be my starter ball, I actually would say. And it's funny because the ball, if you read a lot of the reviews, they talk about it being a transition ball, but I think that's because it fits nicely between, most balls tend to be either heavy or medium oil. So this is kind of a niche market, but for this lane condition and the type of shot that I throw, I'd actually say that this is probably gonna be my starter, and then I have a ball to adjust to that's slightly stronger or slightly weaker, and that just gives me so many more options. I think this is gonna be a very prominent ball in my bag, which I'm actually really excited for. I'm just gonna throw a few more strike shots here, and then I think we're good. But this, yeah, overall review, I really like the way this rolls. It feels super controllable, and if you bowl a house shot, especially here at West Seattle Bowl, I think this is a really good addition for your bag. and it carries the 10 pin. All right, one more here. There we go. All right, well, thank you for letting me test this out. Final thoughts on this ball. I'm really impressed. I know this is described as a transitional ball, but honestly, this is probably gonna be my go-to ball, and that way I have one ball that's slightly stronger, one that's slightly weaker, and so as the lanes change, this will give me options to move around. So yeah, overall, really impressed. I think this will work well on a house shot, especially here at West Seattle Bowl, but I'd love to hear what everybody else's thoughts are. Have you bowled with it? What are your thoughts? Post in the comments, but yeah, thank you for watching the video, and yeah, I recommend go trying this out.